Today we're driving the 2025 992.2 Porsche 911 GTS. This now has a 3.6 liter flat six instead of the older 3 liter flat six. Instead of a twin turbo setup, it's a single turbo, and a big one at that, around 83 millimeters. You hear it back there. We have a hybrid turbo, so basically an electric turbocharger that sends power to a 54 horsepower electric motor in the transmission, in the PDK gearbox. The PDK is the only transmission available for this GTS. You have to get a base 911 to get the manual now. Pricing on this, oh, it's expensive, just shy of $170,000. Starting price as tested, this is $183,000. Can't just be me. I think Porsche 911 pricing is getting way out of control, but do buyers really care? Probably not. They can afford it. I read the other day that the average annual income for a 911 buyer is over $800,000 a year. So, okay. Let's start it up. Let's walk you guys around this 911 GTS. They've done away with the turn key. We just have an engine start-stop button, which feels a little bit less special in this 911. And also, we get a fully digital cockpit now, which just feels like any other Porsche or any other car on the road, really. No more analog gauges, which I will miss that. I don't know if it's cost-cutting on a $180,000 911 or if it's just doing what everyone else is doing already, giving you a digital gauge cluster, but I will miss the analog tack. There's a couple aesthetic changes on the exterior. Let's hop outside and show you those. This is painted in shade green metallic. We have the steel brakes. You can see in the front end, this is how you can differentiate the GTS from the other 911s. We have these grille openings, or at least active shutters that will open and close depending on cooling needs, performance, etc. Everything else, though, looks pretty much identical to the previous gen GTS, or the 992.1 GTS. Maybe these center lock wheels are a little bit different, but rear end looks pretty much the same. I think Porsche did a nice job cleaning up the aesthetics for this 992.2 generation. We have some fake exhaust tips here, which I'm not the biggest fan of. It's kind of a bumper cutout, and then the actual exhaust tip is in there. It would be nice if they just connected them. That's all I'm asking. Nothing really to see in the engine bay. Headlights and taillights look cool. Let's turn those on so you can see that. Door handle's still a pain to operate, but you get used to it, I guess. We want low beam headlights on. And you can see this big LED bar in the back. Yeah, I think it looks good. No rear seats in this GTS. That is a zero cost option to add them or delete them. And here's a view of those headlamps. Nice. Let's actually pop the front trunk and show you this 1.9 kilowatt hour battery pack. This runs on a 400 volt system. It only weighs an extra 60 pounds, and overall this car only weighs an extra, I believe, 103 pounds over the previous GTS. It's still reasonably light for being a hybrid. The electric motor, integrated with the PDK gearbox, makes an extra 54 horsepower and 110 pound-feet of torque. And there's that tiny little 1.9 kilowatt hour battery pack. Look at that. It even says it right there. It doesn't intrude into your cargo capacity. Everything else here is pretty much the same. Similar to the E-Ray, except this is not all-wheel drive. It's available in all-wheel drive, but this is the rear-wheel drive GTS that we have today. A little bit lighter weight. We have a 16.6 gallon fuel tank. Fuel economy is rated at 17 miles to the gallon in the city, 24 on the highway. Ultimately, this 3.6 liter flat six is a larger engine that weighs a little bit less, but doesn't really make much more power than the previous 3 liter twin turbo. And most of that is due to its configuration with the Lambda 1 requirement in Germany. And basically, it's just a bit more clean, but it doesn't make as much power, even though it's a larger engine with a larger turbo. We have a whole lot more torque here, though, and the delivery of that power and the sound that this thing makes really makes this GTS, I think, a very special 992.2 and a unique experience in the 911 lineup. What else do you guys need to know? Top speed, 194 miles per hour, up 1 mile an hour from the previous year. And 0 to 60 probably happens in the mid to high 2s. Very quick. Let's go drive this, see what it's like on the road. You guys can hear it, get a feel for what this is like behind the wheel. 360 camera, reverse camera, nice to see. It is a little bit chilly out, so our front tires are skipping around a bit. We do get the front nose lift option. And with that new 400 volt system, it lifts very quickly, which is awesome. Button here to turn on our exhaust valve, or at least open our exhaust valve. And then right here for our damper control. Let's get this camera out of the way. You can also save location information with that front lift, and then it'll automatically lift at different GPS points. So if you need it for your driveway or for getting into different areas around town, that's a really convenient feature to have on your 911. All right, so we have some information here on our digital gauge display. We can see regenerative braking sending energy back into the battery pack. And we can see when it's filling torque, or at least spooling up that turbocharger, which you can hear behind you. The torque, the response here is absolutely unlike any other turbocharged 911 I've ever driven. It almost feels naturally aspirated because there's zero turbo lag. It's the best of both worlds. Let's go into Sport Plus. Tires are still cold. Mechanical grip here is outrageous on these Goodyear tires. A little bit of a rattle from the back there and the seat. Still disappointed to see some rattles and creaks in the 992.2 911s. It seems like there might be a little bit less road noise here too. It's a bit quieter at speed. I'm not sure if that's the tire or just a little bit improved NVH throughout the cabin. This Alcantara suede steering wheel feels fantastic. In normal mode, throttle tuning, engine sound, the character from this powertrain is really subdued. It's very relaxed, very comfortable. Super smooth shifts from the PDK gearbox. Sport mode ramps things up a little bit, and Sport Plus is full ham. You can lock yourself into manual mode, or you can just tap the pedals a couple times and it'll downshift for you. Sounds phenomenal. A lot of that is probably piped in engine noise, but I'm not too mad about it. It's throaty and guttural. And the fact that you can hear the turbocharger and a bit of blow-off valve noise off throttle, I think just adds a bit more personality to this 911 GTS. Let's upshift here let's lock us into manual, 7th gear, 8th gear, roll into it. There's a little bit of power. What about 7th? A little bit more. 2,500 RPM. It just takes off though. Brakes do feel a little bit different, but they're still pretty good. I've gotten used to them after driving this around for a couple days. hard brake pedal, good bite. And again, if you're not tracking this a ton, you probably don't need the carbon ceramics, if I'm being honest. Really good stopping power. Let's do a quick launch. Not quite enough grip today to get a good launch out of this. The way this car pulls from just immediate input is incredible. You hear hybrid, and this is ultimately just performance hybrid. Ride quality is pretty good over smaller bumps. You hit some bigger impacts, and this thing gets stiff, especially at lower speeds when the suspension doesn't really have time to work or react. Lot of creaks and rattles right now over this bumpy section of road. Let's do one more launch control start here. The only other 911 I've driven that pulls like this is a Turbo S. This is absolutely insane performance. Steering is tight, decent amount of feedback, super direct, really responsive. Porsche always gets their steering weight just about perfect. It's so loud in here. I'm not sure how well it's coming through with the binaural microphones, but it really makes a lot of volume in the cabin at higher revs. Just so much torque. You guys can watch the speedo climb. You'll probably get a feel for it. For 183 grand, the performance here is really very impressive. The interior quality, the amount of shakes and rattles in here, not so impressive. This interior, I don't think it feels very special anymore. It just feels like a lot of other Porsches. The digital gauge cluster, the infotainment, the mostly lack of physical controls. Still not a fan of this little beard trimmer shifter or whatever you want to call it. It would be nice to change gear. If you're crossed up going around a corner in the middle of a slide, just put your hand down here instead of having to reach and find the paddles. Sport response mode here. That was a bit weird. into normal and everything just shuts down. We have adaptive cruise control. There we go. It's always the opposite of what Audi does, so I have to kind of relearn it. Lane centering. I like how you can turn that on and off very easily down here. This cruise control stock is fantastic. Once you are familiarized with the way everything goes and the directionality of it all, it works great. Just hope that you don't have another Audi in the garage or anything, because it's the opposite of that. So you would get pretty mixed up between the two. As a daily, quiet, comfortable. This is the Bose sound system. Sounds all right, not too bad. We've got pretty responsive infotainment, wireless Apple CarPlay, Android Auto connectivity, all the stuff that you could want there. Lots of settings. That was interesting a minute ago. It's an interaction paused for safety. Okay, so they give you all this, but you're not allowed to use it for extended amounts of time. I guess that's a good thing. Really the only physical controls that I'm missing in this 911 a lot on a regular basis are a recirculation button for our climate control to recirculate air, and then a slider or toggle switch to change our gauge cluster brightness, our interior brightness at night. Seems a little bit overly eager to downshift sometimes when it could just utilize the torque in gear. But again, you'll have that control in manual mode. That's really the only complaint I can come up with on this powertrain so far this week. Otherwise, this new hybrid T setup is just phenomenal. It's different from the E-Ray and the NSX. It feels more natural, less synthetic, more organic. If it didn't say hybrid T on the side, you wouldn't even know this was a hybrid powertrain. It just feels insanely and heavily turbocharged without any of the lag that's usually associated with that. It's the best of both worlds. Really, the only complaints I have here are price point. $170,000, $180,000, $190,000 for a GTS seems just like a lot of money. And then the interior creaks and rattles. Not really sure what's going on with Porsche, but every 992 that I've driven has had just a ton of interior noise. And I get it, it's a 911, it's a sports car, but it just seems excessive for the price point and the category that this car is in. So, I don't know, between that and the digital cockpit, I'm not really feeling the interior quality here for the money. Everything else, the powertrain, the performance, the way this car feels, it's all pretty phenomenal. Stop-start is completely seamless too. No starter, no drive belts, no wastegate here. Pretty awesome tech, and all in the name of performance. It really comes together to be a pretty awesome package. All right, guys, those are some first impressions on the 2025 992.2 GTS. Hopefully you guys enjoyed that drive. Let me know if you have any questions in the comments. Thank you so much for watching. We'll see you in the next video. Take care. Hiccups from the PDK today. A couple hard shifts that I was not expecting. It's either perfect or it does that on occasion. So not really sure what's going on right there.